Lisa?
Hi, Sue.
Hi, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
Sure.
So, I don't think I've met you, so I want to learn a little bit about you.
Okay. Well, you know my name.
Right. I got that.
And you've seen me on some other Ignites. Um, as far as my real estate career, I just got my license in November.
Okay.
And you send me a nice welcome note. So thank you very much for that. And my husband was in the Army. And so real estate is something that I've always been interested in, but because we moved around every 3 years, it just wasn't feasible to do the sales part of it. So I have 10 years background in mortgages, and I've also worked for a real estate closing attorney for 3 years. So I've got all of the stuff surrounding. Now I'm putting the final piece to the puzzle.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You have a family?
I do. I have 4 kids,
Wow.
All grown. I still have one at home. He's a junior in high school this year, but the other three are grown and married and all across the US. One lives in New Zealand.
Wow.
So yeah, it's good. They're all boys, all boys.
Good. And so how has it been since November with a real estate license? Just kind of a learning curve for you?
A learning curve. There's so much that you don't know that you don't know.
Right?
Even though I've got all the other pieces put together.
Sure.
But I've always worked for people who were entrepreneurs or who were, were business owners or um, at the top of their chain. So I get all of the networking and the building your business and the database. I understand all of that. It's not a new concept to me. Marketing, all of that kind of stuff I have in place. It's just a matter of executing everything now. And it's really hard with COVID, even though I'm active in my community. I'm on the board for the Ovarian Cancer Alliance of Ohio, so I have access to hundreds of survivors through there. It's just hard not meeting in person because I am a people person and like doing things in, you
Have
know,
you been doing Zooms?
yeah, I've been doing a lot of Zooms.
Yeah. Well, in today's class, I kind of took the syllabus and I tore it apart and rebuilt it how I thought it should go. And so let me see who else has joined us. Somebody else has joined us.
Hi,
Lisa
Lisa.
Gibbs. Oh my gosh. Good morning,
Morning.
Lisa. I have two Lisas. This is going to be a class of Lisas.
That's right. We're in a class all our own.
Oh, I love it. I love it. So Lisa Mitchell and I were just talking. I was learning a little bit about her. I know more about you, Lisa Gibbs. and I do Lisa Mitchell. I was just learning about her path to real estate and stuff. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
and Lisa Gibbs and I know each other, so she knows the
Yeah.
whole thing too.
oh, and how do you know each other? Just through the classes or?
No, Bev Klein from New Albany Realty introduced us,
Oh.
and I convinced her to come work for Capital City Partner.
You're awesome. So I don't know how large these classes have been and not been, so I don't know if I should wait a few minutes. Oh, it says it starts in 1 minute, so um, I got on early because I'm trying to understand. I've never taught via Zoom, so this is going to be an interesting way to do this. So I'm excited to try it, and hopefully, I was telling Lisa Mitchell that I took this syllabus and I just tore it apart and changed it all around. So your student guide is probably, I'm going to have to ask permission to deviate from it a little bit. And I know that Lisa Mitchell was sharing with me about she understands databases and all that sort of stuff, but actually a lot of this is going to be about database and how we use it and that sort of thing. And Lisa Gibbs, you probably already have one, but we are having people join us. So let me see who's joining us. Melody, good.
Hello.
Hila, okay. I'm gonna, are you Melody?
Yeah, that's me.
Hey, Melody, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I've heard about you many, many times, so I'm thrilled to be in a class with you.
Oh, well, okay, let's hope she says that at the end, right? Well, good morning. It's nice to meet you. She's on mute. There we go. Nice to meet you. We can't hear. I feel like I'm in charades, right? I don't think your speaker's working. You want to make sure everybody's on board here. So Melody, I haven't met you. Tell me a little bit about your path into real
Well,
estate.
I've been in real estate in one way or another for over 20 years. But I am new to Columbus, and I am new again back to going to listing and selling. So I had been a real estate agent, and I've listed, or I've been licensed in 3 states, and then I was on the corporate side for several years.
Oh, good, good. Ela, are you connected now?
Yeah, can you guys hear me all right?
Yeah, we can. So
Perfect.
tell me
Sorry
a
about
little
that.
bit about you.
Yeah, so I am on the Millennium Group. I joined the Millennium Group a year and a half ago while I was in college, actually. I interned for them and then got my license in my final semester of college, graduated, and now I am a listing agent under Rachel. So as she kind of steps out now with the baby, I'm kind of taking over some of that listing business.
Oh, good for you. Nicole, good morning. Welcome. Thank you. You're on mute.
How are you?
Good. I'm good. It's so great to meet you. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Sure. I am on the Kemp group. I'm recently licensed. I was a teacher in my past life, and I'm just excited to be here.
Great. Hi, Courtney. It's so good to finally see your face.
It's so good to meet you too. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Actually, Courtney, I talked to Courtney before she got her license, and so
You did, and it was very helpful. You led me in the right direction.
there you go.
Great.
So how
Well,
has it been?
that's really
I know
helpful. Thank you.
you're fully licensed.
For the
Yep, fully licensed.
the
Got my
Roth IRA,
license at the beginning.
send me something that I signed.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. We've got somebody talking here.
Yeah, hold on one second.
I don't. Oh, there you go. Okay. Go ahead.
I got my license
Great.
at the beginning of December, and I am jumping on in. I'm really
That's
excited
great.
to
Thank
be
you,
here.
Brian. I appreciate it.
Good. Good.
All right, sounds great.
Jonathan's on. Oh my gosh. Wow. Good morning, Jonathan. It's good to see you.
Good morning. Rachel's on the phone.
Is she? Oh, okay. We were getting some feedback there. So, okay. So as I started, I'm going to go ahead and start. And if people join us, that's great. As I started, this class, I've never taught this class. So I got the syllabus and I kind of tore it apart. I didn't like the flow of it. I thought there were some things that were more important than they put emphasis on. And so I'm going to start with an introduction of myself. Most of you know who I am. I'm Sue Lusk-Gleich. I am a member of the Columbus team at CAP Partners. And I was licensed in 1973. Now, I know that means I've been in the industry 48 years with this March, which I can't even believe. So, but I'm going to tell you one thing right up front. It does not matter how long you have been in the industry or who you are in the industry, because I wake up every morning and I am just like you. I'm looking for buyers and sellers. I'm prospecting. I'm running a business, planning my days, and that sort of thing. So today I want to share some of my experiences with you. And then I also want you to share with me. And I love that Lisa's here and Jonathan's here. Hi, Erica. And that we have some people that have been in the industry that can also share. So we'll learn from each other today. So this is my first Zoom class teaching experience. So for this to work, I am really going to ask for you to help participate in this as much as possible. So I'd like to get started first asking you a question. And I had this new little gadget, but I can't figure out how to use it. So because I was going to share my screen, let me go back and see if I can find it now. I can't. So we're just gonna go ahead and I'm gonna talk. I would like to hear everybody's expectations of this class today. What does everybody want to glean out of this? And don't everybody talk at one time, please.
I think maybe I'm kind of curious to hear what other people are doing, because I think we're in a market that we've really never experienced before, like a time we've more than likely never experienced before. And all I know is if I'm doing the same thing Sue Lusk-Gleich is doing, then I feel like that's been positive reinforcement. And that gives me a sense of like, okay, we're doing the right thing. We either just need to do more of it or get better at it. So personally, I think maybe for me, it's a little bit of iron sharpens iron, and what are you doing and what are we doing? And, you know, what can we learn? Make sure we can reinforce each other, hopefully each other's thinking maybe, right?
Well, I love that you want to learn what others are doing. So that's what we're here to do. Anytime we're teaching, we want to share everybody's experiences. Anybody else? Because I
feel
have all different levels here. Melody, I saw your hand up.
Well, I would agree with Jonathan. You know, I think from just a seller perspective, I eventually want to grow my business with listings. That's what I had done in the past, and I'd like to do that again here. So, you know, any information I can gain that what's working today in, you know, accessing sellers and being able to retain sellers would be very helpful.
Yeah. Okay, good. Lisa Gibbs.
I feel the same way Jonathan does. I'm here to learn from you and see if there's any tips or tricks. I mean, the inventory is so low right now. And back in the old days, there used to be 12,000 listings on the market that were active, and now there's 1,200. And for sale by owners can sell by themselves now. They don't, you know, it's not as easy as they think it is, but they do get buyers and they're muddling through these contracts. And I just looking for a solution to figure out how to get to them and to get to more listings, because that's what drives your money.
Yeah, I'm going to put for sale by owners down here, and we're gonna talk a little bit about that. Are any of you seeing a lot of for sale by owners in the marketplace?
I am.
You are. See, I'm not seeing them. So you concentrate out New Albany way, right, Lisa?
Yeah, but like a lot of these, and this year I've had, well, between this year and last year, I've had 3 past clients that went and attempted for sale by owners by themselves. 2 of them ended up coming to me to help them list, you know, because they're just trying to save some money and they figure the market's hot. And then the other one ended up selling his house. That was in Gahanna. And so far the transaction's in good shape, but you never know. I mean, transactions have been falling apart like crazy lately. And it's not a fun market.
Right. Yeah, I would agree with that. Anybody else? I would like expectations for today's class.
Yeah, for me, kind of what everybody else said, I am obviously a newer agent. So I think just learning about what are the ways that you can get listings if maybe you don't have a huge sphere that, you know, produces listings on itself. So on top of what everyone else says, and just ready to learn.
Okay, good. Anybody else? All right. Well, let's jump in. Does everybody have the guide, your guide, the seller guide? So as we start today's class, you know, I hear what everybody's saying, and I love, we're going to talk about the for sale by owners and the low inventory situation and kind of what others are doing to find sellers. But ultimately, to find sellers, what we're going to focus on today is lead generating for those buyers and sellers. And that's the highlighted part of your script. And it honestly, for me, it all starts with a database. And a database, and in building that database, why you should have a database, who should be in that database. You know, a well-tended database produces leads. And a powerful database managed by a powerful schedule, it gets a predictable outcome. Would everybody agree with that? I know Jonathan would, because he's very good at that. So let's talk a little bit about what makes a database valuable and what is its purpose. So a database is a living record of business relationships, ultimately. It helps nurture and manage those relationships. It produces a predictable flow of business, and it improves your communication, service, and strengthens relationships. So everybody has a database, is that correct? How often do you work in that database? How often do you add to that database? Somebody want to jump in?
I would say pretty much every day. I try to add something to my database or someone.
And when you add the Melody to your database, what sort of information are you getting to add them to your database? Are they a one-way conversation, or are they a two-way conversation? Are they a lead or a contact?
I would say it's more, a lot of them are more one way, and several of them would be, you know, like an internet referral, you know, lead, and maybe all I have is an email address. Sometimes I may have a phone number. I would have obviously a name. And then for me, because I'm newer to Columbus, I don't really have a circle here. So, you know, I've been trying to work on people that I know across the country that could maybe be helpful from a referral basis. So that would be two-way.
So when you say work with people across the country, are you talking about other realtors across the country?
Well, yeah, many of them are, because I've just been in that business. But, you know, I also have friends across the country too, that, you know, if they know that I'm in real estate, hopefully I will stay in touch with them, and perhaps they can send me a referral.
Okay, not to put you on the spot, but in your database, how many leads do you have and how many contacts do you have? And let's define what a lead and a contact are. A lead is somebody that it's a one-way conversation, right? You are putting out to them, but they're not responding to you. A contact is somebody you have a relationship with, and you can have that two-way dialogue, and they can respond to you and that type of thing. So, and I don't know how you have them categorized. Are you using command for your database?
Yes, I'm using command.
Good.
So I have probably about 20 leads in, you know, people that I have them on a smart plan, and, you know, I'm trying to cultivate. I had taken my phone and exported it into an Excel, all my contacts out of my phone, and I'm still working. I had 1,300, which I had no idea I had that many. And so I'm still really cleaning that up, because there's a lot of those that are just phone numbers that aren't really people that I really know anymore. And part of the reason I have to clean some of that data up too is because I'd previously worked with another brand, and some of those leads are Cardis related brokers. And so any referrals, they're forced to put that through Cardis. So, you know, I know they're not going to be a good option for leads, but others that are not Cardis related could certainly be good leads for me, or referrals.
So anybody else working on their database? I love what you said, Melody. You have to prune your database every single day. I mean, that to me, your database is your bank. That's where you're going to do the most work and get the most results. I love Jonathan and Rachel when they started their business. They did it completely organically. They did not go out and pay for all these leads. They worked their database. And today, Jonathan, would you say that's still the way you're doing it, right?
Yeah, we did a year in review real quick yesterday in our team meeting. And I think when you combine where all of the sources of our business from last year came from and added it up, 77% was from the database. Yeah.
And I will share with you on our team at the Columbus team, 78% of all our business came directly from our friends, family, our referrals from other agents. So it all 78% of our business came from relationship building. So if 78% of my business comes from that, that's what I should be doing every day, right? Is working on that and building that base. Who else has a database or just starting to set up their database?
I'm starting to more nurture my database. But I would say from what I've done transactions wise, 80% of my business has been referrals or family members or friends. So definitely want to continue to nurture and build that. And I have a lot of contacts that I haven't spent enough time putting into my database. So that's something that I'm focusing on over the next couple of weeks to really get that honed in.
Good. Because that, I'm going to tell you, there's a number that we use inside our team. I think it's an NAR number. I have no idea where I ever got this number, but 6%, if you have 100 contacts in your database, you should be able to glean 6 transactions a year out of that, 6%. So as you grow and nurture and build this database, and again, I like to build it with contacts. I mean, we do have leads in there, but I prefer the contact because that's a better resource for me. That's a two-way conversation. I know what's going on in their lives. I know what they like. So 6%. So if you have 1,000 people in your database, contacts, not leads, contacts, you should be able to get 60 transactions a year out of those 1,000 people. That's kind of the standard. If you're working that database and doing it correctly, and you just don't want to throw anybody in your database. I used to do that, and I'm going to tell you it's a huge mistake because it takes a lot of time to clean that and mess up once you discover that's not helping you. So we talked about the size of your database determines the size of your bank in what you're working in. So let's see. The biggest thing about your database, though, is building those relationships. So I do have, let's see, let me grab this, see if I can screen share here. Sorry, guys, I'm new at this, so bear with me. Okay. So I'm going to share this. There's 3 levels of a millionaire database. So as you look at this, the essential piece is the essential level 1. You must have the name, the contact info. And when I say contact info, What do you think are important things to have as contact info for that contact?
Phone
Hello?
number?
Yeah, yes, yes.
Email.
Address.
That's the basics. So the more you build the information in that level one, the better your communication's going to be. How about children's names? Pets' names? When I am building a relationship with people, has everybody heard of the Ford method, FORD? Yeah. So family, occupation, dreams, and recreation. And I think you really, when you start asking questions, you get you get some great information. But I found that kids' names and pet names are really important, especially if I'm making a phone call to a client and I know, we can get so much information on people today by just looking at their Facebook page, their Instagram, that sort of thing. Sometimes if I haven't been connected with a person for a long time, I'll go to one of those resources and just see what's been going on in their lives so I can immediately engage them. The second level is the effective level. And this is where they become a true two-way conversation. You obtain permission to communicate with them. You collect more personal data, learn about the sports teams they like, things like this, right? I have no idea what segment and group based on 1 through 6 means. So we're going to move past that. But this is where we're going to start setting up purposeful and consistent communication. And I'm going to share with you some of the successes that our team has had through this type of communication. And most of it's done via social media. And then the third level is the exceptional. That's where you start automating things, the custom communication, and it's built around certain triggers, such as a sports team. We have tons of people who are Browns fans. We have tons of people who are Buckeye fans. This is how detailed your information should get in your database. Any questions about that? Okay. So let's move on to how are we going to build, and this is for really the new people, more is how are we going to build this database and make it a really, who are we going to start with first? Well, I think first you start with friends and family, because they know and love you. So, and they'll always give you permission to communicate, right? What are some other groups we could look to help build this database? Jump in here, guys.
Old coworkers.
Yes, old co-workers. That's a very good one. Old as in age or just
past coworkers.
Okay, that's good. Okay. And that's a great resource. Who else?
Any organizations that you belong to?
Yes, and it's really interesting. I was having a conversation with Terry Zeller on our team about a year ago as we were working to help her build her database. And so I'm like, who have you been adding? We like to see on our team to be able to add 10 people per week to our database. Now, it's not a requirement because maybe some weeks I don't have 10 people and I just don't want to add people to add people. but set yourself a goal, for what you want to do. But when I was talking to Terry and I said, Terry, who have you added to your database? So then we started talking about what do you do? Well, she's a member of a book club. I said, are those people on your database? She said, no. I said, why not? I mean, so that, and I'm going to tell you, I, as an example, I have been in a golf league that I have played in for 25 years. I have never added, unless they worked with me, I've never added the people I golf with every Tuesday night in the summer to my database. Well, you best bet they're there today. And I've had some great communication with them. So I think we don't sometimes think people want to be a part of our database. Neighbors. Absolutely, get your neighbors in your database. Neighbors always want to know about real estate and what's going on, right? So churches, PTAs, book clubs, organizations, your kids' sports teams, past coworkers. How about vendors that you use often? How about your dentist? How about your doctor? Your vet, your hairdresser, these sorts of people. I mean, I think, does everybody have these types of people in their database? But you could add them, right? So start thinking about how am I going to really build this dynamic database. I came across something the other day, and I had never thought about it. Let me find it here. It was called, sorry, let me turn my phone off. I apologize. Okay. So it was, hang on one second. I'm going through my things here. Another way to communicate that I'll come back to it because I have it organized here. So we are going to build this database and we're going to continue to work on that. And we can set up smart plans in like for your neighborhood. Wouldn't your neighbors like to get the neighborhood updates? That's and what I did is our street puts out a roster of everybody in the neighborhood. So I had phone numbers, I had emails, I had addresses, and I just set them up. I didn't ask permission, but I have had more of them come back and say, wow, this is really great. So they're getting the neighborhood information, the community information in the neighborhood. So I have set myself up. Now, while all of them knew I sold real estate, I can't tell you how many times, and I've not been real happy about this, that another realtor sign shows up on my street. And I'm like, oh my God. So I thought I need to do something about this. So that's be sure and look at your neighborhood and put people in there and become the expert in that neighborhood. Any questions about that? Anything else people could add to add to the database? Other resources? Okay, then let's move on our database piece.
Sue, I liked what you said in the beginning of that about not everybody gets added.
Right.
And I think sometimes we fall short just being newer. Like when I was newer, and I always say this as like the open house example, I thought I needed to get everybody that came through. I thought I needed, I just scrubbed every contact from LinkedIn, knew them or not, went into my database when I started. And what you said is like, people that would want to be there, like your golf folks, right? That's natural. they're part of your community. Like, and of course they would want to support you too. And I think when you kind of like lay it over your lifestyle, then you don't have that awkward, like, oh, I don't want to put somebody on a drip campaign. But if I golf with everybody on Tuesday, or like I'm in the Italian club, stuff like that, like it's not uncomfortable at all. And when we see each other, work is always a topic of conversation, right? So I think sometimes we get caught up in the scarcity of I have to have everybody and everybody's got to be in there. But what you just said kind of like outsmarts it. Like it's not uncomfortable when it's people that are part of your life. And frankly, that's who you want to work with anyways, right? Not everybody. So I
Right.
thought that was well worth that was well said.
Now, I will tell you at open houses, like I will connect with certain people. And Heather on our team is excellent at this open house gig. Um, and I said she should be teaching this class, but Heather is so good. And when she comes back from an open house, she contacts every single person that she was able to get signed in, thanks them for having come, and maybe offers a little tidbit or something. She's very soft in how she approaches it. It's not like, oh, you have to work with me, or that type of thing. Now, if they have a realtor, she does not impede, she does not infringe on that at all. So I do add people from open houses occasionally, but I have to really connect with them first. Now, does that mean they won't become a lead in the future? I might. I'm not a big drip campaign person, so I'll find other ways to drip on them, if you will. I might set them up on a plan to send a note every 3 months or something like that. I don't want to force myself into people's lives. They know who I am. We had a great dialogue. If they're on my database, we had a dialogue. Okay. If they just walked through the front door and acted like I wasn't even there and signed in because I asked them to, and they went through the house and they snuck out the back door, I'm not going to pay as much attention to them. I'm only going to be with those that, how many are holding open houses right now? Anybody?
I'd love to. Do you have one?
Yeah, I'm trying, but there's just none out there.
Lisa, what's been your experience in open houses right now?
They're going into contract before you actually get to do the open house. That's
Really?
the only, yeah. I wish there were more to do, but like I said, inventory is really low. You definitely can find buyers in open houses, though.
Oh, absolutely. So if you happen to get a listing, then I would be really smart how I plan that listing. So what we do is we try to list everything on a Thursday, open showings up for Friday, but we're not going to entertain with the seller any offers. This is with seller's permission, of course, until after the open house. We're going to give people, because every listing you get, you need to make it a multiplier in your business. Okay, as much as you can. And an open house is the way to do it. But I was really disgusted. Sunday, I met a client at an open house in Westerville, and it was a 1,200 square foot house, and there were 30 people in this house at one time. It was ridiculous. So we have to practice safety also, because we're kind of blessed to have our business still open and running like it is right now. And I can tell you at any time the governor could shut us down. So if people are reporting that we are not using good judgment and how we do this, now it was snowing outside, but I think in that situation, I would have limited the number of people that came in at the one time. And if people want to sit in their cars or whatever and wait until their turn, that would be okay. We're in the winter. It's kind of an awkward time. But open houses definitely are great, great things. Why, I'm going to ask the question, why do you think our using a database is a really good way to find seller leads?
Well, you can target a neighborhood
Mhm.
for a particular buyer. So if I know somebody's looking in Hampstead that I met, I can target them into that particular neighborhood and call around the neighborhood and say, hi, I'm your neighbor. Do you know anybody who's looking to sell? Because I have a buyer who's looking to buy. And you can match the two together
Right.
prior to.
But I think why I would use my database the most to find leads is because it's the lowest cost. It costs a lot of money. I have another, let me grab this little screen share thing. I'm getting used to this. I'm trying to learn how to, let me go to this little screen. Can everybody see this? Can everybody see what's on my screen? Okay.
Yes.
So there's two ways to find seller leads, right? We can market for them, and they truly are leads, but it's money intensive. It's very passive. You don't have to be very active doing it. You just have to create it, and but it takes a long time to get results from that. So I used to do geographic farming. And I'm going to tell you, Joe Jackson is probably the best geographic farmer I've ever met in my life in our office. But Joe Jackson, for over 30 years, has geographic farmed in the North University area. Now, I'm going to tell you, he almost owns that market down there. Those people know him, but it has taken 30 years. I'm not sure any of y'all have that amount of time to wait, right? So the best way is prospecting in your database. And this is why it's so important to build a very dynamic database. And I can't say it enough. So it's low cost, it's the lowest conversion cost, and it pays for itself. So you can go out and you can buy leads, you can do Zillow, you can do all that. I don't like any of them, but I personally chose to make it our business to work inside the database. So one of the ways that I think is really I want to talk about the database and how we really communicate with the entire
Nobody's hearing her, Lace. And now we totally lost her.
Yeah. Okay.
Is she in the office?
I don't know. Front desk would know. Looks like she was from home.
I think we've lost her completely.
All right, Lisa, you're up.
All right, what would you like to talk about?
She probably just had a snafu with internet, maybe.
Recently had an agent tell me that I don't want to do listings because they're so
Yeah.
difficult as a new agent. So what do you longer time people say to that?
I think that that is somebody who's just trying to feed you a line of BS. Listings are really what drives the market because you've got buyers
Right,
agents out there.
that's my
All right,
thought.
guys, I'm so sorry. I don't know what happened. But, okay, so let's talk about this database and how you tag people inside the database. Jonathan, I'm sure your group has tags for all your people. Okay, so first is the segmentation that you have of the first group being leads, because you're going to communicate with them differently, and then the true contacts, the ones that you have the two-way conversation with. Then under contacts, we have them labeled. We have lots of labels, and in Command you can go in and create all the labels you want. We have labels down to avid OSU fans. So if we're going to offer tickets to a ball game, if I happen to have extra tickets or something, I'm going to reach out via email or via text message to only that group of people. I'm not going to send it to the whole database. If we have tags like the year they closed with us, so that we can set up home anniversaries and that type of thing. Cards. We have tags of friends and family versus a vendor maybe that helps us in our business. We have tags like neighbors, Sue's neighbors. Even though they're in my big sphere, I have them segmented. So if I want to only communicate with my neighbors, I can do that. Jonathan, how do you have yours set up?
Yeah, similarly, in our filters, everything from like client events, who gets invited to that, the spheres that they come from, if they are in a neighborhood that we farm, just kind of like whatever is going to make it easy to filter. And then that helps with being specific in how you reach out, or, helps with categorizing people to send a mass message also. And I think it's probably important to note that that whole like 80-20 principle, there's people in your database, like you can't treat everybody the same, but there's people that deserve the VIP treatment because they are very receptive, they reciprocate communication, they may or may not send you a referral or an introduction or support you. And so I guess what I'm sharing is it's okay to have a sense of discretion, that if you have 100 people, you don't feel obligated to do 100 of the exact same things the exact same way in fear of someone missing out. But it's okay to treat people a little bit different in your database as you kind of rank them and how they respond and serve your business in return.
Right. Lisa, how about you? Do you have different tags you use?
Okay, so true confessions. I have a lot of stuff dumped into my command, and I am still in the process of sorting them. And I have over 500 that have no tags because I can't remember who they are.
Facebook them or Instagram.
Yeah, I mean, well, that takes time, and I'm still trying to figure out how to best tag these people, because being in the business so long, I have agents in there, I have vendors, I probably have my kids' friends in there that no clue. So I'm still a novice on the whole command
Okay,
database.
so I'm going to make a recommendation to you as you start tagging things. Jonathan brought up a good point. There are certain clients that, and we call them connectors. These are the people that refer us consistently. They are connectors, and we have a category for our connectors because we do treat our connectors differently. We have small private events for them only. We've had flower arranging classes. We've had pizza making classes. We've invited them to a car museum for an afternoon. And doesn't happen to the whole database. This is just these connectors. And so we want to treat them extra special because we want them to continue. So people do make our connector list every year, but it's a pretty important part. So I'm kind of afraid to share a screen because we got popped off before, but I'm going to try it again. Except for that I lost what it was. Oh, shoot. I lost my slides. Sorry. Okay, we won't be sharing that screen. So in your packet, there's one thing as we move forward and talk about this database, and then we're going to move on to finding seller leads and how we do it inside that database. I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way, guys. I'm just going to hold it up. This is one of the most important things that we do on a daily basis. And we call it, sorry, let's stop share. Okay. It's in your packet. It's called the 10-4. Everybody have this, see it? Goals to set your career on fire. We call it the high five on our team. So every day we do 5 things. We add 5 contacts or try to add 5 contacts to our database. Again, I don't want to just add anybody. We try to have 5 conversations a day. So let's talk about having 5 conversations a day with your database, either via phone call or anything like that. But one of the things we've started doing to make, you know how on Facebook it comes up that somebody's having a birthday, right? And they're in our sphere. So we don't just go in and write a message in Facebook, happy birthday. We send a little video. I mean, it takes 2 seconds to do a little video and say, I'm just popping in today. I hear it's your birthday. You know, I want you to have a great day. It's a personal touch rather than what everybody else is doing on Facebook, right? So anytime you can do those little things to your database, that's going to cement that relationship better, right? And do you think that person will, I mean, I think that when you do things a little bit differently, that people remember that. And they also remember you're in real estate. So we, ours again is called High Five. And so we try to do 5 contacts added to our database daily. We try to have 5 personal conversations a day daily. We do 5 handwritten notes daily. And I'm just going to give you a little tips about handwritten notes. There's nothing better in my world than taking the time to write a handwritten note. I love to receive them. I think people love to receive them. I'll just share a quick story. My husband had cancer in 2009. And as he was going through treatments and stuff, he got greeting cards every single day in the mail. And I want to tell you, he looked forward to them We still have a full box of them in the closet. I'll never throw them away. People, and Mary Sunderman's husband, this was before Mary Sunderman was ever married to Mary Sunderman's husband, but my husband was a volleyball coach at Waterson. And Rick Sunderman, Mary's husband, sent Chuck a card at least once every 2 weeks to say, I'm thinking about you. You know, you have a lot of clients, you have a lot of contacts that are suffering or ill, you know, cancer. And from that day forward, if I had a client or anybody that was going through treatments like that, I made sure that every 2 weeks I sent them a card. Do you think that helps cement a relationship with people? I mean, it's pretty amazing. So my experience learning from Chuck's experience learning, getting these cards, how important they are to people to actually physically write a handwritten note. Now, what are some of the things you can write about? I mean, you know, it doesn't have to be that they're sick. I could drive by a client's house and see they've painted the outside or they've re-landscaped or something like that. And I'll just jot a quick note, and I carry them in my briefcase. I'll just jot a quick note and I'll send it off. Hey, the house looks great. Man, I love the landscaping. Find reasons to write notes to people that will be personal to them that you noticed. So it's an awareness, right? Anybody else a prolific note writer? Well, I know you are, Jonathan. I love Jonathan's notes. They're always great. Liz, tell us, Mitchell, tell us about your experience writing notes.
Jonathan can tell you, I sent
Yeah,
a note,
she's
and
great.
I've been sending notes to everyone who's doing Ignites for us just to say thank you. I mentioned maybe that I'm on the board for the Ovarian Cancer Alliance of Ohio, and my committee is Survivor Connections, and so I implemented a note writing campaign, so they get 4 touches from me all year long just to say, hey, I'm thinking about you. They are handwritten. I don't use you know, pre-printed cards. Just
Right.
you know, it makes a difference. And I had cancer too and can totally relate. I have kept all of my cards from the year that I had cancer, and I refer to them, you know, if I'm having a down day or just like, you know, just like looking through them. I've kept them. And a lot of people do keep the cards that you write to them.
Oh yeah, it's pretty touching. Anybody else experience with note writing? Jonathan, where'd he go? We lost him. Okay, so the handwritten notes are really, really important. Find reasons to write those notes to people, even if it's just to say hi. But I always, like I'm driving neighborhoods and stuff, and I'll notice a client's house and that things have changed. You know, I always try to find something to write to them about. And then 10 home previews a week. Now, this is a little more difficult now because getting into houses is a little more difficult because of the stacked up appointments. But, you know, if you're going to pick a neighborhood that you really, really, really want to work in, previewing and knowing all the inventory in that neighborhood, number one, it educates you. And number two, it's really good. The other, for us, it's a high five thing. So the 5th item for us on our list is social media, is to engage with our contacts in social media. I don't know if you know, but you can go into Facebook and you can create your own, you can group people into, so like all our clients, I group into a certain, so I make sure, I'm not on Facebook a lot, so I make sure that every day, at least I look at what my clients are doing. I can't scroll through all the nonsense that's in there, but I do want to know what the clients are doing and be able to go in and comment and that type of thing. So every morning I'm looking for 5 things that I can reach out there. Now you can make it 10 and they recommend 10, but I think adding 10 people to your database every day is not, it just isn't possible. In my world, it's not anyway. Okay. So
I have a question about previewing homes.
yes.
So the houses that I previewed, I've tried to choose houses that look like they were vacant, like, there wasn't any furniture in it or anything, because I didn't want to inconvenience people,
Sure.
to have to get the house ready and leave and take their pets and, all that for a preview. But, that's a pretty short list if I'm only looking at vacant houses. So what's the recommendation on previewing houses in today's world?
I like to get in them as much as I can, Melody, and you bring up a great point of inconveniencing people. And I'll tell you, the only thing that's really changed in our business in the 48 years I've been in is the level of technology that we use today. Otherwise, things are still, and that technology has brought the ability to be able to really kind of see inside a house on the MLS. So if you can't physically be out there, but it's a neighborhood that you're you want to build a reputation in, and again, I recommend you build your reputation in your own neighborhood to start out because you live there. You can, relate to these people. So I would use the MLS, the virtual tours, the photos, get to know the houses and that sort of thing. Okay.
Okay, yeah, because I'm just thinking because of COVID too, they may not want to have more people in their house. They're not actually buyers. So
Yeah, I was sitting with a seller last night and they so want to move to Chicago, but they're so worried about COVID. And they're both working from home. They have cats. And I just said to them, I said, this is what I recommend. Let's find you an Airbnb. Let's find you a hotel room for 3 days and just move out of your house because they are worried about COVID and it's a legitimate concern. And let's get this done in 3 to 4 days. I just knock on wood that I can get it done in 3 or 4 days for them, but I think we will. So, so it's a legitimate concern. So let's switch gears and let's talk about a little bit more about where we find seller leads. So, and again, I'm sorry to do, this is very elementary doing it this way, but my, all my technology here isn't going to work for me. So I think this is in your handout too. Obviously, we've done a lot of talking about your database and that, that honestly, when you're starting in the business, that's the best place to find your leads, but it's going to take a lot of work on your part, a lot of nurturing. Open houses. We are not doing as many open houses now. And as Lisa shared, that is a great place to meet people and add them to your database if you feel like they merit that. The daily 10-4, absolutely. That's part of your prospecting plan. Referrals. And this referrals, when I see this, I think realtor to realtor. Okay, so I'm going to give you a couple tips that have been successful for me. I'm very involved at the Columbus Realtors. I'm very involved at the Ohio Realtors, and I'm very involved at the National Association of Realtors, all on different levels. But I have a huge passion for politics and how it affects our business. But I'm going to tell you the relationships that I have built through serving on committees at even the Columbus Realtors at the local level. Our MLS think about this, guys. Our MLS spans a lot of counties now. As a matter of fact, Marion is now coming into our Marion Board of Realtors is now coming into our MLS. When you serve on committees with people and you work side by side with them, I am not going to Marion, Ohio to sell a house, but I can refer people to Marion, Ohio. And I love referring them to people that I actually know, who I know will do a good job. The same thing on the state level. I know realtors in every city in the state, and I get referrals from them only because we served on committees together. Glenn Moog in our office is a huge example of somebody that has built a national reputation through KW. It's absolutely fascinating to me when I go into these sites that are on Facebook that say, looking for a realtor in Columbus, Ohio. I cannot tell you how many realtors across the country recommend Glenn Moog, because he went to family reunion, he went to mega agent camp, and he built relationships at those events with realtors outside of our area. And he's very well known, and he does a great business getting referral business, relocation business coming into town. So when I see referrals, that's what I think of first, is my relationships inside my business, professional referrals. Referrals can be, hairdressers. They know everything going on in people's lives. My Pilates instructor knows everything going on in the lives of her clients. And I have often told her, and my hairdresser, my nail tech, all these people, if you ever have anybody that wants to do real estate or buy or sell real estate, would you be willing to provide them my information? And they all want to help you. So these people, this type of referral is really amazing. And then the people that are in your database, they always want to help you too. So never forget to ask for the referral. Now they put a script book with this class that I hated. I mean, I went through it and I'm like, I wouldn't use one of these scripts if my life depended on it. But scripts are important. So there's lots of different ways to ask for that business. And we'll talk about a lot of that. But this is primarily where I find seller leads, is through this method. Now, oh shoot, let me see if I can pull this other thing up because it was really important. Okay, I can't. So I'm just going to share numbers with you. I'm sorry, I hate doing that. But one of the things that I was, as I was doing my research, how sellers found their agents. So 39% of sellers, this is all from your National Association of Realtors profile of home buyers and sellers. 39% were referred by a friend, a neighbor, or a relative. That's a pretty big number, isn't it? Pretty big number. Only 27% used the agent they previously used. That's kind of a sad number. I mean, really, when you think about it. So there's a lot of business out there that they've done business with somebody else and they weren't especially crazy about them. Only 5% came from a personal contact by an agent. Only 4% came from internet or website. 3% came from an open house. And then they have a category called other 22%, which is social media and that kind of thing. So, and that's a little graph I had from them, but. So, let's talk about other ways that we can find sellers. So I'm using an example, and I am going to share this screen. Social media. Has anybody heavy into social media and how they use it? I'm terrible at it, but I'm going to share some successes I've seen. Anybody into
I
social
use it a
media?
lot.
Do you? How do you use it, Lisa? Share with us.
Well, I started a business page, and so I am posting 3 times a week to that. I don't want to inundate people, but
Are you doing it on Facebook, Instagram, what platform?
right now I'm just doing it on Facebook.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
And so I have like a different theme each day of the week. I'm doing some videos on there just to stay front of mind as well, because I think videos is kind of like the way people are moving, like you said, with doing a video birthday. Great idea. So
Yeah. Okay. Anybody use Instagram?
I do.
Erica? Okay. And Erica, what do you, Deidre, you use the Instagram too? Okay. Erica, share with us what you do on Instagram.
So Instagram is a little bit more new to me, but mainly using Instagram and Facebook business page, both for different pictures, putting out information. I'm big in the new home world, so I'm getting pictures of models that I've taken, just some interactive stuff that people want to look, most people gravitate to pictures and videos. So putting as much of that
Right.
part out.
Right. How do you use it, Deidre? And do you use Instagram or do you use Facebook?
I use both. So basically the same way. I will post something to Instagram and then have it automatically share on Facebook. I'm really conscientious about my hashtags that I use. Depends on what it is that I want to target. My hashtag handle is coffee, wine, dogs, and real estate. And and it's all things that I love coffee, I love wine, I love dogs, and of course I'm a realtor. So it really relates to a broad audience. They can relate to me. And so if I'm at a coffee shop, Eric and I are also doing videos on Facebook. So if I'm at a coffee shop, then I'll tag coffee shop, coffee lover, local business, or things like that. And I've noticed that I've picked up a lot of traffic that way, people that follow certain hashtags. So if you're really conscientious about what it is that you're targeting, like if you post a picture of a new home builder that you want to go visit, hashtag, do your hashtags new homes. I read some things about, you don't really want to do real estate live, realtor, closing deals in high heels and stuff like that, because nobody is searching for that or following that as a hashtag. They're looking for first-time homes for sale in. So anyway, that's how I use it. I'm really conscientious.
I think you brought up a good point, and as social media is such a big part of marketing today and that sort of thing. So, to me, social media, again, is about building relationships, letting people know who you are. That's really, really important. And anytime putting value into what you're putting out there. They don't care that you just sold a house. They don't care how many you sold this year. They don't care that you're in the $5 million, $25 million club. They don't care about any of that. They People want to know who you are. So I'm a Special Olympics coach. So when I'm coaching, I do a lot of posting about that. Well, that creates a community around that, right? And so, and when I'm with my golf partner, my Special Olympics golf partner, I do little videos with him and things like that. Now, this year I just started. I am a huge cook. I love, love, love to cook. So I'm not very good at it yet, so don't go look at it, okay? But I started, I mean, I just wanted people to know, yes, I'm a realtor. Yes, I will want them definitely to know that. But I started Beyond Real Estate, Soup's Kitchen. And I've been doing videos in my kitchen, and I'm still learning how to do all this. But I want to share, screen share Heather Gott's Instagram, and everybody write that down, Heather Gott, Gott, and go to Instagram. And I encourage you to, she has built a business around this. And I just think it's remarkable. I'm just fascinated by it. But I'm gonna, can everybody see this? Can everybody see it? Okay. So Heather is building, she's gone in and she's done Beach Wall, she's done Bexley, she's done Arlington, and just go read her post. She's educating people about different things. She also has testimonials from her clients. Now, Heather's only been in the business 2 years, but she's really, really worked this system. And she's gotten more followers, and people are following her, and people are reaching out to her to work with her from the consistency of all her posts. So I'm going to share a couple more. She's got a bunch of them. I just wanted to kind of share what she's, I'm just not sure where to find them, guys. Sorry. Well, I'm just, I can't find them. I'm not very proficient at this. Sorry about that. I had it all set up. Now I've lost it all, but at least you got to see one. She had one about Bronzeville down off of King Avenue and kind of the high points of that. She also does these really great little clips of her and talking. It's really great how she asks certain questions of the audience, and she gets that audience participation. So that is a great way to find contacts, seller leads, buyer leads, is to create a really nice presence. And if you go in and you look at Heather's on Instagram, there's a lot of consistency going on there. So I have a lot of work to do on my Beyond Real Estate Soup's Kitchen, so I can get consistent with it. But social media, people seem to be on it everywhere, and it doesn't cost anything. So it's, again, another organic way to connect with people. Okay, any questions about that? People want to do business with, I mean, you want to be professional and friendly and likable, but people like to do business with people they connect with, right? And I just think social media is amazing. I can remember starting out 48 years ago. I was kind of like Melody. I came to Columbus, Ohio, and 2 years later, I'm in real estate and I know nobody. I mean, I have a small core family unit here. And I wish I knew today what I knew, didn't know back then. And I think I would have grown it a lot quicker. But I just put my head, kept working hard and did it. So we all do it the same way as we did 48 years ago. We just have technology to help us along a little bit. So I'm going to talk a little bit about for sale by owners because Lisa Gibbs mentioned that. And seeing if people have for sale by owners been dealing with them. Lisa said she did have some experience with it. I'm telling you, I haven't seen very many for sale by owners. Has anybody else had any experience recently seeing them, trying to work with them? One of the things I have, our team has, is we have a buyer and seller guide that we provide to all our clients. And we address for sale by owners in that buyer and seller guide with our client when we're meeting with them, the buyer. And we tell them, we will call the for sale by owner. Most for sale by owners will work with a realtor. They'll at least pay them 3%. So, and I think what you have to do when you talking to a for sale by owner, or what I do anyway, is I talk about the things that they really don't have any knowledge of. And in this market right now, the ones that I have encountered, I've kind of shared with them what the market's like. And then I've also talked about how they can get the best price, because if they would hire me, I could manage this process of multiple offers. And I hate to say it, but put them in fear, that they might miss out on something if they don't employ a realtor. Lisa, now the ones that you had, can you just share with us the ones that did try for sale by owner and came to you, but you already had a connection with them, correct?
Yeah. So the one that was back in March, she instant messaged me asking me if I had a buyer. At the time I didn't. It was right, during COVID and right after I left the Reigns group. So technically I wasn't allowed to contact my past clients due to a non-compete, but she contacted me. So I was able to follow up with her. I gave her some good information, helped her stage it a little. She wasn't getting traction. And so because she was a past client twice over, she says, hey, can you just come out and list this? And I did. So it was kind of really not,
Can I just jump in there and kind
Sure.
of point out some things that Lisa just said? She brought value to that client. She helped her stage it. So I think anytime you come from contribution with people, they remember that. And do you think that helped make that relationship even better, Lisa?
Yeah, and I think she realized that she was going to miss something that, maybe an expert could help her with. When you, for sale by owners really are people who are just trying to save money, but when they realize they're actually leaving money on the table, then they will request your help. You just have to be there.
Yeah, put them in harm's way. They're going to lose, and this is how they're going to lose. Now, but I mean, you got to be very careful how you say that. So
Right.
you have to really come from, I can help bring more eyes to your property. I have a lot of avenues to do that through.
Right.
And which will probably bring you more money in the end. And I use a lot of examples. Like before I go out on a for sale by owner, I study like right in that immediate neighborhood. And I look at how many houses have sold in the last 6 months, how many sold over asking price, and what percentage. So I have a lot of data that I can share with them. I have personal stories I can share with them about that. So for sale by owners, while Um, I haven't seen many, but if you do encounter one, it's a great seller lead. You need to talk about the benefits for them. What are the benefits for them? Always. How can you help them? That kind of thing. Anybody have any questions about for sale by owners? I know, Lisa, you had some questions. Was there a specific one? When you talked about the low inventory and the for sale by owner.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to get in the door and find them personally. I mean, the ones that I have found are either past clients trying to do this on their own, or I'm driving down the street and somebody's got a tiny little sign, and then I call them. Oh no, we're gonna do this. Oh well, if I wanted your help, I would have already called you. You know?
Yeah.
So I guess I'm looking for solutions on, what everybody else is doing to find these, because,
The only way I can, this brings up a great point. So if a realtor's having a hard time finding a for sale by owner, and you do find one, how many people are actually being exposed to that piece of property that could be potential buyers?
that's a good point.
Yeah, not very many.
Yeah, exactly. So you bring a bigger market share to them. You have to remember your value, and it's not about you, it's about you helping them. And sometimes, you can't get them on the phone, and I know a lot of people that get a listing and they do circle calling, and I think all that's great. It's not my cup of tea. It's effective. People have been very effective with it. I prefer to spend my time in my database. That's where I spend my time. I'd rather nurture that, and when I know I can get a 6% return of the number of people I have in my database, that's where I'm going to spend my time. So, because if you only have 500 people in your database, that's 30 deals a year. If you work it and nurture it and take good care of it. So that's really, really important. Okay, does that answer the questions about for sale by owners? We can find sellers there, but I haven't seen too many of them lately. Another place to find sellers, and Erin on our team is currently looking for a home, and we were talking the other day, and Erin's gone back 2 years and looking at expired listings. Now, there weren't a lot of them, but there were some. And she's recontacting these people to see if they if they're considering selling. Now, she's the buyer and she's just closing that, but that's another resource. Go back 2 or 3 years, people that had their house on the market, and then she cross-checked it to make sure it hadn't sold in the last 3 years, again. So looking at expireds, which we haven't had a ton of, you can't imagine, or canceled listings that have come off the market is another great way. Again, I'll go back to the database. That's the easiest thing to work. You spend a lot of time doing all this research and that type of thing. I think it's a lot easier to build your database. Okay, now this class, the syllabus they gave me, goes into pre-listing questionnaires and things like that. Are you guys interested in that?
Yes.
No? Huh? Who is?
Yes, I would be.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, let's go and talk a little bit about that. So we've identified a seller or a potential seller. And the first thing we want to do is pre-qualify that seller. And the way we do it on our team we have a little blue sheet and it's called Seller Questionnaire. I did pull one off of another one that I thought was not too bad off of if you go into education in KW and you go down to education, you go down to classes, and then it'll pull up like Ignite and all these, and you go into Ignite, you'll see all the manuals, the student manuals, the facilitator manuals. If you go to the bottom of each one, there's a thing called toolkit. Let me find it right here. I had it here. It's called Toolkit. And if you open that up, you will find at the bottom of each class, you'll find forms like this. You'll also find a pre-listing packet, they call it. Although I would probably go to Scott Leroy's site or the design site in Command and for the pre-listing package, because I didn't like the one that I pulled up on the other one. And you can personalize all of these. But why would it be important to pre-qualify a seller before you go out and meet with them?
Well, it's a lot of time that you might have wasted. And if you, depending on what marketing you did, it could be a waste of money as well.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. Anybody else?
You want to know their motivation. Because if you're just coming out to stick a sign in the yard and they're going to sit forever and not do anything.
Yeah, my thing is, I want to know as much about that seller before I walk through their door. So I go through a list. I just ask them, do they mind when they call me or when I'm talking to them to take about 5 minutes to answer some important questions so I could be really prepared when I go out and meet them. And some of the things I want to know is, how did they hear about me? Where are they moving? What's motivating them to move there? How soon they have to be there? When I talk to people, I do more listening than I do talking. I ask a ton of questions. So when they say to me, I have to be in Montana, or I want to be in Montana in 2 months. And I'll say, and if you can't be there in 2 months, what would that mean to you? The fact that they got to be there is okay. I want to know what it means to them if they can't get there. That helps me determine more motivation. So I think questions are really important. So when I go on a listing presentation, sometimes a seller will say, as part of the conversation, will you reduce your commission? I never ever used to know how to answer that as a realtor. And now I just simply say, why is that important to you? I mean, you asked the question, what about that is important to you? I want to understand where they're coming from, because I can't answer a question I don't understand, right? So the more questions you ask, the deeper you get into what they, so one of the questions I will ask is, what would happen if your home did not sell? Or you couldn't get to your location within 2 months? Will the wife end up here with the 4 kids and the husband's moving on? And, would that create a lot of stress for the family? Sometimes I'll say, do you have an idea of it? Because that's my job to go in and do that. But every once in a while, um, it, can you still hear me? It says my internet is unstable. It says, sometimes I'll ask them how much they'd like to list their house for, or do they have an idea of value? I have a lot of different ways of asking of that. I want to know how much they owe on their property. I want to know that they're upside down. You know, just short 8 years ago, people were upside down in their mortgages. They were underwater. So that's a really important question. I also tell them that how I like to work. I like to do 2 appointments. Unless I'm in a cookie cutter subdivision, I like 2 visits. Lisa, how do you do your business?
Yeah, I'm a two-stepper myself. I want to know what I'm getting into. I
Right.
want to go back and actually do comps. I can bring them some basic comps, like this is the number of houses that are in a price range that are currently for sale. This is how many sold.
Right.
And I think that comes from doing relo.
Right.
But yeah, I never know you never know what you're walking into, and you want to make sure you're a right fit for them, because
That's the biggest thing. Melody, how about you when you were selling in another state? Did you do 1 or 2 visits?
Most of the time I did a 1 visit, but it depended on the house. If it was like a really unique property, really unique house, there wasn't, like you said, it's not cookie cutter, there wasn't other properties like it, then typically I would do that in a 2-step.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you, I do 2-step visits. First off, the first time I meet with them, I'm going to take a lot of information. I'm going to take a seller guide to them. And we have really nice seller guides on our team. I'm happy to share them with anybody that would like to see them. I think Courtney, we gave you a couple of buyer and seller guides to look at. You know, create your own. We have a lot of tools in Command and that kind of thing where you can create your own. It's important to have something there for them. I'm with Lisa Gibbs in that I like to see the house first, because I never know what I'm walking into. And I think the first visit builds the rapport. You're walking through the house, you're talking about them, you're learning, you're using the forward on them, you know, occupation, dreams, kids, recreation, all those, you're learning about these people. And you're sharing stories back and forth. So you're building this. And then I sit down and I tell them, my second visit, I'm going to bring a comprehensive analysis on your home to you. But in the pre-listing time, when I'm talking to them on the phone, I let them know this is going to be a 2-step process. And I get their permission for that to happen. I have never been really great after 48 years of pricing a house on the fly. I really put a lot of study into how to get it, get the most for them, and making the comparisons and understanding the neighborhoods and that type of thing. So I sit down with them and at the first visit, after we've walked through the house and we've learned, I've walked into houses where they need so much help and they have no idea where to start. So this is where you come from contribution. You are a problem solver. That's how you're building these relationships. So I went into one about 3 months ago, and the gentleman, it was clear that he was in the early stages of dementia. He had family and friends helping him, and I solved their problem. That was my job, to figure out what was going on and solving their problem. That cemented me having that listing over the other 2 realtors they brought in, because they needed to get him moved to Cleveland. I had a plan for how once he moved, what would happen with what was left in the house. I told him I would call the furniture bank, and it would cost money, but they would clean the house out, and then I would take it from there. I would get it cleaned for them, and then we'd get it ready for the market. So your job is always to be looking how you can solve their problems, those sellers' problems, how you can jump in and help. So back to the pre-listing questionnaire again, it's asking those questions so you're prepared when you go in. I always ask that, will all the decision makers be at the property at the same time? Because I've gone in and like the husband's there and the wife isn't, and the wife's really the one that's the decision maker, you know? So I always make sure that happens. I always want to know the time frame they want to sell in. Sometimes I ask if they're, I haven't, I think I saw a number from NAR that 75% of all sellers only interview one realtor. I was a little shocked by that number. So you need to go in there so they don't, and really wow them so you don't have to compete with anybody. But I feel like I compete a lot with people. What other questions do you think would be important to know when you're walking in on a pre-listing? And I'm happy to share any of these. Just I'm going to give you my my cell number is, or my email is sue@thecolumbusteam.com. The, as in the Ohio State University, thecolumbusteam.com. And I am happy to share anything our team has with you to help you in any way I can. But in what other questions would be important, do you think, in this pre-listing conversation you're having before you go in the seller appointment?
I would say asking them where they're going so that you can possibly have a referral.
Right. The nice thing about having it written down is you don't forget to ask questions,
right? And
you kind of have a history of it. So we're happy to share any of these documents that we have that we use. It also pre-qualifies the seller for you. Is this something, I can almost tell on the phone whether I'm going to have a good working relationship with somebody or not. You know, I'm kind of prepared. I want to work with everybody, but I know that that's not reasonable. So pre-qualifying a seller is pretty important before you spend an enormous amount of time working with them and helping them out. But the biggest thing I can tell you, again, is always come from contribution with them and find ways to help them solve the problems that they're overwhelmed with. And I work with a lot of seniors, and I'm going to tell you, that's the most overwhelmed group I've ever met in my life. I mean, they have 40 years worth of stuff. They don't know where to start. We have a lot of resources that we can refer them to. We have organizers. We have Susie's Helping Hands that'll come in and help them box up 40 years of stuff, you know. And they're usually going from a 3,000 square foot house to an 800 square foot apartment or smaller, and they don't want to let go of stuff. So that's my experience, is always come from contribution and help solve their problems, be their resource, because the more you can help them, the more likely they are going to be to use you. Any questions about that? Well, I think any other ideas on where seller leads can come from? Okay. Any questions of me? I have so much paperwork here. They do have scripts in here for sellers. I want to talk a little bit about scripts. I want to talk about why they're important. Who uses scripts? Who's been practicing scripts? Okay. Where are you getting your scripts from, Lisa and Lisa?
Over the years, have gotten scripts from Mike Ferry, Tom Ferry. I mean, you name it. And they're everywhere. And a lot, Sherry Johnson. There's a lot of coaches out there. You can find scripts on the internet. And Command has got them. The nice thing about scripts is once you get them in your own words, you feel like you can say it without stopping and stuttering, and it just sort of starts to flow off your tongue.
I think scripts are important, especially when you're starting out. Sometimes you don't know how to how to have a conversation around certain things. What I used to do years ago, I, like Lisa, have gotten scripts from many resources over the years. I'm not a big script person. I like to use my own words, but scripts give me a guide. And so for years, I belonged to an organization called Howard Britton's Star Power. It was a national organization. I went to the conference every year. I got their annual subscription of CDs. Every month he came out with a CD. It was an interview of another agent across the country. And a lot of the CDs were scripts. I listened to them nonstop in my car. I internalized these scripts to the point that I never knew when I would have to use one of them, right? So, and I have to use my own words. So as I listen to it and I change it up and make it my own words, and I'd be sitting at an appointment and all of a sudden one of these scripts would just pop out of my mouth. So it's about confidence, being able to answer the objections and things like that. I think if you search bold in KW Education, there's a lot of scripts there. We have a lot of scripts in my office. I'm happy to share any of them with you. We have a little script rotary thing that we use, but I think it helps you deliver a more powerful message and a more concise message to a seller. So scripts, I think, are really important. I don't like the robotic part of the script. So I try to take what is there and make it mine. Is anybody else practicing scripts? Lisa Mitchell, you said you are?
Yeah, I've been practicing them, and actually Melody and Nicole and I are going to be getting together weekly to start doing that together.
Good, good, good. I encourage that. I encourage you get a script partner. If you're not good at sitting in front of the mirror or videotaping yourself doing scripts, then I encourage you getting a script partner. It makes it a little more fun. And everybody brings something from a different direction for that. So I think that's about it for today, unless you have other questions of me. I hope I've helped you or given you some additional information. Most thing I want to encourage is go work on that database. That is
A lot of great information, Sue. Thank you so much.
That's where you are going to find your business. Okay? And I
Thank you very much.
Thanks to everybody for joining us. It was great meeting the ones I don't know. And good luck with that script practice, and let me know if I can do anything for any of you, okay?
Thank
Okay.
you.
Thanks, Sue.
Thank
All right.
you.
Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.